The movie begins with the introduction of Jordan Turner, an operator working at the 911 emergency headquarters in Los Angeles. She receives hundreds of calls during her shift, some of which are very serious. However, Jordan has always managed to keep calm and guide the stressed people out of danger. This has made her a well-respected and popular figure in the department. They should probably all be good at their jobs, but what can you do? It's 2023. One day, Jordan receives a call from a young woman named Leia, who faintly whispers that an intruder is trying to break into her house. Hearing this, Jordan immediately tracks her cell phone's location and sends some cops to help her. She then instructs Leia to hide and lock herself in a room. The terrified girl obliges, and she slowly makes her way upstairs. As the intruder enters the house, he begins to search the rooms. Right then, he notices a window slightly open and Leia's shoes on the ground beneath it. This makes him assume that she must have escaped the house already. He then proceeds to go downstairs and pursue her, not realizing that Leia is actually under the bed. What kind of idiot takes their shoes off to jump out a window? Suddenly, the 911 call from Leia's phone abruptly ends, causing Jordan to panic and redial the number. Unfortunately, the ringtone alerts the intruder of Leia's hiding location, and he eventually drags her out. He then takes her phone and starts talking to Jordan. The latter desperately asks him to surrender, saying the cops are on their way, but the intruder is unfazed. In a scary voice, he tells her, "It's too late," before hanging up the call. The incident leaves Jordan in a state of shock, and she starts blaming herself for the poor girl's death. A few days later, Jordan returns to work, but she is still traumatized and nervous to begin her duty. To make matters worse, the news reveals that Leia's corpse was found in a very horrible condition near the highway. Jordan cannot take it anymore, so she stops her work and goes to the balcony for some fresh air. Her boyfriend Paul, who happens to be a cop at the same department, joins her for support. He tries explaining that these things are common in today's world.
Nobody puts their phone on silent. People are idiots, honey.
But Jordan is too depressed to listen to him. The movie then fast forwards by 6 months. Jordan is still struggling from anxiety, so she has now quit her job as an operator. Instead, she works as a trainer for new recruits. As this job doesn't require interaction with the emergency callers, she is performing well. Somewhere else, two teenage girls, Autumn and Casey, are hanging out at a mall. It is a fine morning and they are waiting for their other friends to arrive. But just then, Autumn gets a call from her boyfriend and rushes to meet him. In a hurry, she leaves her phone behind, so Casey keeps it with her. Later, she returns home, and while walking through the parking lot, a car suddenly reverses, nearly hitting her. Casey curses at the driver and picks up her now broken phone. To her bad luck, the driver becomes enraged and attacks her from behind. He then knocks her unconscious using chloroform, puts her inside his car trunk, and drives away. At the 911 headquarters, as Jordan is instructing the new recruits, an operator suddenly receives a call. It turns out to be from Casey, who has just regained consciousness inside the car's trunk. Since her phone was damaged earlier, she's using Autumn's phone right now. The operator tries asking her questions, but Casey is so panicked that she can't even form a sentence properly. Hence, with no options left, Jordan takes over the call. She is the most experienced operator in the building. She tries tracing Casey's location, but unfortunately, her phone is a simple one which doesn't use GPS. Jordan then goes for plan B and asks the teenager if she remembers anything while getting kidnapped. Casey, who is about to have a heart attack, digs deep and eventually remembers that she is inside a red car and that the kidnapper is wearing glasses. However, the information is not enough, so Jordan asks Casey to break the taillight and survey the surroundings. The latter successfully does as asked, and when she waves her hand through the hole, a woman spots her and calls 911. With this, Jordan finally learns the car's license plate number, but when she runs it, she learns that the kidnapper is using a fake identity. Moreover, when the woman goes against Jordan's suggestion and drives near the kidnapper to get a better look at his appearance, he becomes suspicious and abruptly exits the highway. As they are back to square one now, Jordan tells Casey to search the trunk for any useful items. The terrified girl looks around and finds a can of paint, a screwdriver, and a shovel. As soon as she sees the shovel, Casey panics, as she thinks that the kidnapper intends to kill her and bury her with it. However, Jordan manages to calm her down. She then instructs Casey to pour the paint outside so that the cops can easily spot it from a helicopter. Unfortunately, when the kidnapper stops at a red light, a random driver, unaware of the situation, approaches him and reveals about the leaking white paint. This alarms the kidnapper, so he immediately jumps the red light and drives to a secluded area. He then opens the trunk and threatens Casey, unaware that she has a phone on her. That's right, he's too dumb to check her pockets. Meanwhile, the driver from earlier has become suspicious at the abrupt departure of the man, so he follows him and parks nearby. Assuming that he is trying to hide something in the trunk, the driver tries to confront the kidnapper, but while doing so, he gets attacked and knocked down with the shovel. The kidnapper then changes cars, loads both of them, and drives off. In the following scene, Paul and his partner follow the paint trail and discover the kidnapper's abandoned car. Paul also notices blood on the side of the car and a smashed bottle of chloroform. This gives him an idea. He can now use the bottle to get the kidnapper's fingerprint. Meanwhile, Casey continues talking to Jordan, describing the new vehicle they're in. Suddenly, the driver next to her wakes up and starts screaming. This alerts the kidnapper, so he parks the car, eliminates the driver, and then puts his corpse back in the trunk. At this point, Casey has become certain that she is not going to make it out alive. She starts saying her final prayers, but Jordan once again calms her down and asks her to retrieve the ID of the driver. Casey obliges, and using the information on the card, Jordan finally gets to know about the car they are in. The kidnapper has no idea what pockets are. Right then, the kidnapper realizes that he is running low on gas, so he pulls over at a gas station. Casey, whose phone battery is also low, uses this opportunity to climb through the backseat of the car and scream for help. The plan works, and a nearby worker notices her, but before he can even react, the kidnapper eliminates him by spraying gas and setting him on fire. He then knocks Casey unconscious and closes the trunk. This is the sloppiest crime since OJ. Because of the incident, Jordan loses contact with Casey and becomes worried, but thankfully, using the fingerprint from the broken glass bottle, the police identify the kidnapper as Michael Foster Paul. As soon as they get the information, Paul and his subordinates rush to Michael's house to gather leads and question his wife. Meanwhile, Michael arrives at his destination and picks up Casey from the car trunk. To his dismay, when he checks the girl, he discovers a phone that is still connected to the police. When he picks it up, Jordan addresses him by his full name and informs him that the cops are at his home interrogating his family. She also warns him to surrender and leave Casey, but Michael replies that
it's too late.
As soon as Jordan hears these words, she realizes that Michael is the same person who kidnapped and murdered Leia 6 months ago. This twist means absolutely nothing. Elsewhere, as Paul is scanning through the kidnapper's house, he comes across a picture. It features a woman who looks eerily similar to Leia. She is revealed to be Michael's deceased sister. Paul immediately asks Michael's wife about the location of the picture, and the latter identifies it as Santa Clarita Hills. Wasting no time, the cops head there, but once again, they don't find anything. In the meantime, Michael brings Casey to an underground bunker and starts preparing her for a medical procedure. He binds her to the chair. However, she manages to wrench her arms free and spray him with insecticide. Casey then attempts to flee, but sadly, Michael easily kidnaps her. At this point, it has become midnight, but Jordan is still at the call center trying to find another clue in the case. Later, Paul contacts her and promises that Casey will be found alive and that the police are searching every passing vehicle in the vicinity. Despite this, Jordan is not satisfied, so she decides to take matters into her own hands. She heads to Michael's abandoned old house, where she discovers some pictures of his family. As Jordan goes through them, she finally gets to know that Michael's sister died of cancer and that Casey is also of the same age. Assuming that it is too late, a dejected Jordan prepares to leave, but just then, she hears the same background noise that she had heard earlier in Casey's phone call recording. Jordan then looks around and discovers Casey's smashed phone and an underground hatch. This is when it finally dawns on her that Michael carries out all of his heinous crimes inside the bunker. Jordan wants to call for backup, but she also is scared that it may alarm the kidnapper. Hence, after much deliberation, she heads inside the bunker herself. As soon as Jordan reaches the base, she discovers Michael getting ready for something. She then hides in a corner while Michael starts stroking a blonde wig that resembles his sister's hair. Seeing blood on the ground, Jordan realizes that the hair in Michael's hand has been recently pulled from one of his victim's scalps. It is then revealed that the kidnapper misses his late sister so much that he kidnaps girls resembling her appearance and scalps them. He then stores them in a mini fridge as a souvenir. In the next scene, when Michael Michael prepares to cut through Casey's scalp, Jordan comes out of her hiding place and hits him with a mannequin head, knocking him unconscious. She then manages to free Casey from the surgical table and proceeds to flee the place. However, to their bad luck, Michael gets up and attacks Jordan. Just as he is about to finish her off, Casey strikes him in the head, causing him to stumble and fall to the ground. The two girls then get out of the bunker, with Michael following them slowly. As soon as he reaches the top, they attack him and mercilessly throw him to the bottom of the bunker. Feeling safe for the first time, Jordan plans to call for backup, but Casey stops her, revealing that she has another plan. Let's scalp this asshole. In the final scene, when Michael wakes up, he finds himself chained to the same surgical seat. Jordan and Casey then approach him and mention that they will leave him in the bunker as a punishment for his crimes. Hearing this, Michael panics and starts crying. He begs to call the cops and get him arrested, but the girls completely ignore him and leave the room. The movie ends with a satisfying note, as the psychotic killer is left to rot inside the bunker, because the police definitely won't ask any questions about where they found him or anything like that. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.